Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Peter Murphy begins now.
Good evening, everyone. The coronavirus situation in our state remains stable tonight, with just a single confirmed case so far. But as the epidemic escalates interstate and across the world, here in Tasmania, the government is implementing a level 2 response to boost preparations. Aged care facilities and childcare centres are now considering measures to protect our most at risk, including the options of lockdowns and temporary closures. For one group of Tasmanians, their brush with the coronavirus has come to an end, returning home into the arms of their families after being caught up in the cruise ship quarantine. That story shortly, but first to the current situation.
Childcare centres and aged care homes. It's here where coronavirus poses the biggest threat. Providers taking all precautions in the event of a worst case scenario, including closures.
I think that's a little way off. Of course, we would not compromise children's wellbeing or staff wellbeing in any way, shape or form.
While they say it's not a time to panic, there are plans in place, already seeing a drop in numbers.
We've seen a bit of a pullback in the southern part of the state, and that's mainly because students and staff haven't been able to come here.
And in aged care homes, they're taking similar precautions, prepared to isolate a room or even an entire wing if any residents test positive.
The lockdown will mean that there'll be no visitors able to come and go, and our staff will basically be in residence assisting our residents to provide the necessary care.
As a whole of community, I think there's a responsibility for all of us to be careful and mindful of those that are more vulnerable.
The government ramping up its action, implementing a level 2 public health response. Authorities standing up an emergency coordination centre after already opening this specialist respiratory clinic in Launceston.
The government is in the advanced stages of planning of implementing further clinics around the state. This will be coming over the coming weeks. And again, this is making sure that we have the appropriate preparations in place.
We're supporting them to make sure we're planning for the future and to make sure we keep our community safe.
There's still just one confirmed case of coronavirus in Tasmania. The 40-year-old man who flew into Launceston remaining in hospital isolation.
This particular person is actually really well and is pretty much asymptomatic now. But on a precautionary basis, we're keeping him in the hospital to make sure that he's cleared the virus completely, so we'll be testing him every day.
So far, 82 tests have been undertaken in the state. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
4 Tasmanians from the Diamond Princess cruise ship are back on home soil after spending a month in quarantine. There were hugs and tears at the airport as the group was reunited with friends and family, and despite the holiday from hell, they've vowed to cruise again.
Touching down into the open arms of loved ones. For mother of 2, Alana Hoskinson, this moment has been a month in the making.
I'm feeling glad to be home.
The Launceston local finally back home and ready to shed the baggage of a horror 7-week overseas holiday, half of it spent in quarantine exile.
It's really hard when you're in a 3 metre by 3 metre cabin to not get a bit stir crazy.
Even when she was confined to a wheelchair after developing symptoms common in coronavirus, she didn't fear her life was in danger, unlike her family.
What were you concerned about?
That she wouldn't come back, that she'd end up catching it, wouldn't get back.
I stopped eating and drinking for a little while there because I was so worried about her.
She was on board the Diamond Princess cruise ship, isolated for 14 days amid concerns of a virus outbreak, along with Tasmanian passengers Helen and Peter Jackson and Lindy Gross. The group was then flown to Howard Springs in Darwin and closely monitored for a further 2 weeks.
We're here, we've come through it, and we've been well looked after.
It hasn't been as bad as what everybody's made it out to be.
They say while the treatment from the cruise line was exemplary, emergency support from the federal government was far from it.
They shouldn't have abandoned us on a cruise ship with coronavirus on it. They should have brought us home at the same time as the guys from Wuhan.
Arriving home, frustration has shifted to appreciation for the simple things.
I'm looking forward to a slice of toast. We haven't had toast for 6 weeks.
Strangers, now friends, connected through crisis, an experience they'll all carry for the rest of their lives. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
To an unfolding story now, and police say they're responding to an incident at the Ashley Youth Detention Centre, where several youths have climbed onto the roof of the facility. Just moments ago, authorities said they remain at the Deloraine site, with the youths refusing to come down. Police say no one has been injured in the incident. A two-car crash in the state's southeast overnight has claimed the life of a 24-year-old man from the Tasman Peninsula. Emergency crews were called to the site on the Arthur Highway at Copping around 12:15am. The driver of the silver Toyota Hilux died at the scene after colliding with a silver Holden Rodeo. Police are still piecing together what happened.
They conducted a detailed examination, and they'll be conducting a very thorough and lengthy investigation to determine the exact circumstances of this tragic event.
It's the 14th fatality on the state's roads this year, more than double for the same period last year. Police urging drivers to pay attention on the roads. Tasmanian streets are set to be safer overnight with the rollout of mandatory staffing levels at the state's 24-hour police stations. The changes mandate a minimum number of officers at each station overnight, ensuring faster response times in emergency situations.
With the extra allocation of 125 members into the police service, of course, this has allowed the discussions to take place about where the best numbers are.
For the members of the public, it will mean enhanced high visibility patrols, increased detection of crime and better responses to incidents that they're involved in.
Tasmania is the first state to introduce this policy, which will be fully in effect by July 2022. Confusion around choosing the right car seat for children has led to the launch of a new guide. The booklet has been produced by the state government to describe the correct seat to install for a child's age. Accident prevention group KidSafe is welcoming the resource, saying carers who aren't familiar with using child seats are at extra risk.
Because they think they're doing the right thing, but we'll see the clip not in the anchor point but in the luggage clip. We'll see twists in their seat belts, which actually start to act like a razor, a knife, and can cut through the child.
Experts say using the correct car seat for a child can reduce the risk of serious injury by up to 70%. An iconic Tasmanian sporting field has received a $1.26 million upgrade to bring its facilities up to the 21st century standard. It's a welcome refurbishment for the North Hobart Oval before it hosts its first AFLW match for the year tomorrow.
It's arguably the best view in the house, overlooking the 99-year-old North Hobart Oval. Representatives from government and the North Hobart Football Club today cutting the ribbon on a vital new upgrade.
They were old and tired. I think it's probably fair to say too that they didn't, particularly the coaches and media box, didn't meet OH&S standards either.
The venue has undergone a $1.26 million redevelopment over the last 7 months to bring its facilities into the 21st century.
Which entails a new kiosk, a new cool room, a new bar serving area, a roof over the wet area and a brand new coaches and media box.
The new redevelopment launching just in time for the Oval's first AFLW match of the year, hosting the North Melbourne Tasmanian Kangaroos and Adelaide Crows tomorrow afternoon.
I'm really excited for tomorrow's game. It's going to be quite a good clash against second and third on the ladder. So, we've come off 3 consecutive wins now, but I don't think we're going to be complacent because this is going to be a tough game against the Crows.
A lot of our thinking through the winter is how do we beat Adelaide, and it'll all come to fruition tomorrow. But come down here, beautiful setting and ready to go.
Gates open from midday tomorrow with an under-18 match prior to kick-off at 3:10. Entry to both games is free. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
If you can remember Longford's famous Flying Mile, this one's for you. The inaugural Motorama Festival is uncovering Tasmania's rich history of motorsport with a special focus on Longford's past as an Australian Grand Prix and Tasman Series circuit. On show is the first car constructed by Motor Racing Developments in the UK, which was co-owned by racing legend Sir Jack Brabham. This model is regarded as one of the rarest Brabham cars in the world.
Brabham tied up with Ron Trumac, and between them they built thousands of cars.
The 1966 Tasman Series champion in Longford, Sir Jackie Stewart, has also shared his memories of racing at the circuit.
I, of course, had to cross the level crossing, the railway crossing, which was a bit of a bump in those days. Of course, we were in narrower tyres. It was a 2-litre Formula engine that we were driving.
Motorama continues tomorrow and Sunday. You may recall earlier in tonight's bulletin that unfolding situation in the state's north where several inmates are on the roof of the Ashley Youth Detention Centre and are refusing to come down. We've sent our reporter Garth Burley out there. Garth, what can you tell us?
Yeah, well, Murph, this is really a developing situation at the moment. The details are quite scarce, but what we do know is just after 5 p.m, several youths climbed onto the roof of the Ashley Youth Detention Centre and are now refusing to come down. Authorities have been called to the scene, but at this stage, no one has been injured. Now, we've actually been moved hundreds of metres down the road by police because they're worried that the media attention that we might attract might actually excite the youths and provoke the situation and make it much worse. Pete, we don't know how long this situation will take to be brought under control, but it could be well into the night.
The coveted Glover Prize will remain in Tasmanian hands, with Hobart artist Robert O'Connor crowned the winner for his inventive nod to the state's agriculture industry. Judges say this year's high-quality exhibition made it all the more challenging to pick a winner.
A record 563 eye-catching entries narrowed down to just one. This mouth-watering masterpiece from Robert O'Connor satisfying the judges' appetite.
I think for all of us it was that sense of both wonderful absurdity and brilliant painting.
After finishing as a finalist in the last 4 years of the competition, this time the Hobart artist went one better, channeling the deep agricultural roots of Oatlands as his inspiration.
It's fun to try and disrupt a landscape prize by entering a hunk of meat into it.
It makes us think a lot about the landscape we live in and what we've done to it since it's been colonised.
He has thousands of reasons to smile, 50,000 to be precise. That's his winnings for taking out the top award.
I can't imagine that much money, I'm sorry. I make my own Nike sneakers. I don't know anything about 50 grand.
Creatives from around the globe crafting a wide range of works for the prestigious prize. Only the best of the best are honoured to hang in the Evandale Gallery.
All of them are doing and saying something very different about landscape.
The exhibition will be officially unveiled tomorrow and open to the public for 2 weeks. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Nathan Ellis has taken 6 wickets on the opening day of Tasmania's Sheffield Shield clash against New South Wales. After winning the toss and electing to bowl, the Tigers steadily removed the Blues batsman, with an economical Ellis finishing with 6 for 43. Gabe Bell was the other danger man, claiming the remaining 4 scalps to have New South Wales all out for 195. The Tigers lost Alex Doolan, Jordan Silk and Jake Doran this afternoon. They're at 3 for 63 at stumps. And finally tonight, a 71-year-old Tasmanian has powered into the record books. Mary Dash has shattered global benchmarks in her age group after being inspired by her son. She's Launceston's lean powerlifting machine. Her name, Mary Dash. Her nickname...
The powerlifting team call me Mad Dog.
They also call her a world record holder. No other woman over the age of 70 weighing less than 60 kilos can do this. A 100 kilogram squat, 47.5 kilogram bench press and 135 kilogram deadlift.
It makes it worthwhile getting out of bed in the mornings, and especially if you're not working full-time anymore.
She's had a lifelong love for the gym, but the 71-year-old only started taking powerlifting seriously after retiring and seeing her son Jamie compete. He's now her biggest fan and had goosebumps when she broke the record.
She's becoming an icon of powerlifting in Australia, and I don't think I've heard a crowd that loud ever. You know, there was hundreds and hundreds of people on their feet screaming.
Mary's setting the bar even higher now, aiming to top her record later this year. Her coach is especially proud. Mary was his first client.
I don't think as a coach it gets any better, so it really hit home once she did it, and the future's hers.
A future she plans to own.
Good evening everyone. Launceston the state's top today with 25 degrees, 23 in Devonport, Burnie 22 and Hobart reaching 20. Across the state, Ouse 22, Flinders Island, St Helens and Friendly Beaches all 21, 19 in Smithton and Grove 18 degrees. Low level cloud over the west and south of Tasmania today with a trough over the north east of the state. Across Australia, cloud can be seen over the south of Western Australia, which is associated with a low pressure centre. There is also cloud along the southeast of South Australia due to onshore winds. Tomorrow's chart shows the high centre remaining over the Bight and the Southern Ocean, with troughs and low centres over southern Western Australia. South to southwesterly winds tomorrow 10 to 20 knots, reaching 20 to 30 knots about the northwest. And there is a strong wind warning current for the northwestern coastal waters from Sandy Cape to Stanley. 16 in Hobart and Medina tomorrow, Oatlands 14, partly cloudy and 20 in Launceston and Devonport, 13 in Lyowini, Burnie and Strawn both 19, Marrawall reaching 20, St Helens 17 and showers and 16 in Swansea and Orford. The UV for tomorrow is high across the state. Looking on to Sunday now, fine apart from light showers in the northwest, mainly fine on Monday with light winds, and on Tuesday, possible showers about the northeast, otherwise fine. Perth 28 tomorrow, 25 in Adelaide, a shower or two in Brisbane and Sydney, and Melbourne 21. And currently Hobart cloudy and 15, Launceston 23 and partly cloudy and 21 in Devonport. And Pete, that's the weather.
Thanks very much for that, Chelsea. Have a nice long weekend, and to all of you, have a great long weekend, whatever you're planning. I'm catching up with a couple of old boilers at Steam Fest at Sheffield. Of course, Motorama's happening at Longford. Plenty too happening on the docks in Hobart. We have Spiegel Tent and that quaint festival, which we all love, the Taste of the Huon. A lot happening this weekend. Let's hope you can enjoy it. That's all the news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us this week. Good night.